Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get started on this little project. First thing I've done is I have gone to scratch.mit.edu and I have already signed in. So if you haven't signed in, again, you don't have to. You can just click create, but you might have to do this whole thing at once. Whereas if you actually have an account, you'll be able to save it. So I'm going to click on my account. Actually, I'm just going to click on create. I don't even need to go there. So we click on create, we're going to be loaded into the Scratch editor. Now we've got a couple of things that we're going to set up first. So the very first thing that I want to do is I want to create two backdrops. I'm going to do one backdrop where I'm asking for the words and the second backdrop when you're actually reading the story. So over here down in backdrops, I'm going to just click on this and choose a backdrop. And you can choose any backdrop you want. In the example, I chose the one that was the school, so that's just this one here. And then I'm going to choose a second one, and so I'm going to choose a backdrop. And the second one that I chose, I think was just blue sky, just like that. So now if I click here and I look at backdrops, you can see I've got three backdrops. I don't really need this white one anymore. So if I click on it, I can click on the trash can and I can get rid of that. So now I've just got my blue sky background and I've got my school background. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have the school background selected. I'm just going to move my cat kind of down here sort of in the sidewalk. You can move your cat anywhere you want, or if you want to, you can switch the cat for a different character. That's fine with me as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get out of costume mode and I'm going to switch over here to code mode. Okay, so a couple of things I want to do with my cat. First things first, I want to go to events and I want to do when green flag is clicked, and I want to make sure the cat is here to start with. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to motion, and under motion there is the go to. Okay, now with my cat set, these numbers, this X and the Y, that's where the cat is right now. So I'm going to say those numbers are fine. I'm just going to bring those out and the cat will go there when I'm ready. All right. And for right now, I think we're going to just stay with that. What we need to do is we need to create a bunch of variables. Every time we use a new word, we've got to save that as a variable so we can use it in our story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the button that says variables, and I'm going to make, I think, about 15 variables. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to click on make a variable, and this variable name, this one here, we're going to call it next. And so this variable is going to be in charge of when we press the space bar, it'll go to the next part of the story. I am going to keep it for all sprites, although we're only going to have one sprite in this, so either one is fine. I'm going to click OK. So now I've got a variable called next. I don't need to see it, so I'm going to uncheck it. All right, now we're going to make another variable. We're going to call this variable adjective 1. All right, we are going to need 3 adjectives. So we need adjective 1, adjective 2, and adjective 3. So I'm going to click OK on that. Don't need to see adjective 1, so I'm going to uncheck that. I'm going to make another variable, and I'm going to call this adjective 2. And I'm going to click OK. Don't need to see this one, so I'm going to uncheck it. And again, if I start going too fast, just hit the pause button or just stop the video and you can restart it. Make a variable, adjective, yikes. Now spelling doesn't really matter on this, but you know. So adjective 3. And again, I don't need to see it, so I'm going to uncheck it. So I've got my 3 adjectives. We now need 7 nouns. So we're going to have to do this part 7 times. So click on make a variable, and I'm going to call this noun 1. And click OK. I don't need to see it, so I'll uncheck it. Make a variable, noun, 2. Click OK. Don't need to see it, so I'm going to uncheck it. Make a variable, noun 3. Click OK. Uncheck it. Make a variable, noun 4. Click OK. Uncheck it. Make a variable, noun 5. OK. Or you can hit the enter key on the keyboard, by the way. Uncheck it. Make a variable, noun 6. Press enter. Uncheck it. And finally, noun 7. And click enter and uncheck it. So now we've got our 7 nouns. We also need a variable for a number. So I'm going to make another variable. We're going to call this variable number. I'm going to click OK or press enter. I don't need to see this one either, so I'm going to uncheck it. We also need a variable for a vehicle. So vehicle, all right. Again, spelling doesn't matter, but V-E-H-I-C-L-E if you want to spell it right. Click OK, uncheck it, don't need to see that. Going to make another variable. Now we need 3 verbs. These are our last 3 variables. So we're going to make 3 verbs. So make a variable, verb 1, press enter, uncheck it. Make a variable, verb 2, press enter, and uncheck it. Make a variable, verb 3, press enter, and uncheck it. Okay, so for right now, I think that's a pretty good little start. So I'm going to hold the video right there, and we'll pick up on the next video on what to do with all these variables.